When you're out in the field, you don't have time to worry about whether a receiver will quit halfway through a layout. You just need something that works reliably, won't make you second-guess your measurements, and feels like it's worth the money you spent. That's the exact mindset that makes anyone pause before hitting buy now on a new Leica Rugby 620 kit. Is it just another piece of gear with a long spec sheet, or does it actually solve the everyday headaches of a survey crew? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I spent a good part of last week hanging out with a small crew that was testing the Rugby 620 on a mixed terrain site, rough gravel, a shallow ditch, and a few trees that forced us to keep the instrument moving. The first thing we all noticed was how quickly the Rod I-120 receiver paired with the handheld unit. There's no need for a separate base station or a complicated network setup. You just power it on, press the sync button, and you're ready to start pulling points. For a team that's used to spending the first 10 minutes of a job just getting equipment talking, that simplicity translates directly into billable hours. The range claim of up to 2,000 feet held up in our tests. We ran a line across an open field with the receiver perched on a tripod about 1,800 feet from the handheld, and the signal stayed rock solid. In tighter, tree-leaned sections the range dropped a bit, but it never went below a comfortable 1,200 feet, which is still plenty for most residential or utility projects. What matters more than raw distance is how that range holds up when you need to trust the numbers. Leica promises an accuracy of 1/16 inch ch at 100 feet, and on a flat concrete slab we were consistently seeing that level of precision when we measured a known benchmark. Even when we tilted the instrument up to 5 degrees off level, a scenario that happens when you're on a sloping roof, the self-leveling held the error well within the advertised tolerance. One of the hidden trade-offs of the Rugby 620 is the single-axis manual slope feature. Unlike some newer models that give you dual-axis slope calculations at the push of a button, this unit requires you to set the slope manually on one axis. In practice, that means you have to be a bit more deliberate when you're working on uneven ground. For most straight-line layouts or simple stakeout jobs, the manual step is quick and doesn't add noticeable delay. However, if you're doing complex three-dimensional modeling, say, a topographic survey of a hilly site, you'll find yourself pausing to adjust the slope more often than you might like. It's a small extra step, but it can add up on larger projects. The IP67 rating is a genuine peace-of-mind factor. We tossed the unit into a shallow puddle after a sudden rain shower, and when we dried it off it powered up without a hiccup. Dust didn't bother it either. After a day of working on a construction site with a lot of concrete dust in the air, the receiver was still clean inside. For crews that are constantly moving between wet, dry, and dirty environments, that level of protection is more than a marketing badge, it's a practical safeguard against downtime. Now, who should actually consider buying this kit? If you're a small to medium-sized surveying team that needs a reliable, straightforward receiver for routine stakeout, construction layout, or utility mapping, the Rugby 620 hits the sweet spot. The price point sits comfortably below many of the newer dual-axis models, so you get Leica's reputation for accuracy without the premium you'd pay for advanced slope functions you might never use. It's also a good entry point for newer crews who want to get comfortable with Leica's ecosystem before committing to higher-end gear. On the flip side, if your daily work revolves around high-precision 3D modeling, as-built documentation of complex structures, or you need to capture slopes on multiple axes without manual input, you'll probably feel the limitation of the single-axis manual slope faster than you expect. In that scenario, a more modern receiver with automated multi-axis slope calculations could save you time and reduce the chance of human error. Likewise, firms that already have a full Leica workflow with base stations and network RTK might find the Rugby 620 standalone design a step back rather than forward. Value for money shows up most clearly when you compare the cost of the kit receiver, handheld, and alkaline battery pack to the cost of comparable units that bundle in network capabilities you won't use. The Rugby 620's battery life is solid. A full set of alkaline cells gets you through a typical 8-hour shift without needing a recharge. That eliminates the hassle of managing lithium packs and the associated safety concerns on site. However, the reliance on alkalines also means you have to carry spares if you're on a multi-day job, and you'll notice a slight dip in performance as the cells start to run low. It's not a deal breaker, but